I'm here today with Dylan Madden, dear friend. And basically, if I had to introduce him in like a short, pithy sentence, it would be if like freelancer coaches don't know what to do, they call Dylan.
Yeah.
So that's that's basically the coach's coach. Dylan,
Yeah.
thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, brother. We've been talking about doing this for a while, and obviously we hung out in Amsterdam for about a
Yeah,
week or so. So it's fantastic to finally be talking in this interview. So it's awesome.
yeah. It's actually bizarre. Like we spent time together, like a couple days in Amsterdam, and we didn't
Mhm.
get to do this. And now you're halfway across the world,
Yeah.
and now we get to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how life happens.
It's weird. Like you're not in the real time zone. You're in South America,
Yeah.
so it's afternoon where you are. It's evening where I am.
Mhm.
But we'll make it work. Did you have a productive day?
Yeah, I had a very productive day. Woke
Good.
up, hit the gym, got some sparring in, was able to run an errand, and now we're sitting here doing this. So it's all good.
Awesome, man. Hey, I mean,
Yeah.
you have a pretty, you have a pretty unusual start to your career or
Mhm.
your adulthood in general. Can you walk
Yeah.
me through that? Like, how did Dylan Madden become Dylan Madden?
So to summarize, like in the very, very beginning, I was always that kid that, like, example, and we kind of talked about this in person, but whenever my mom got custody of, or my dad got custody of me from my mom,
Yep.
they essentially put me into the special class because I didn't know how to write, didn't know how to read. I could read, but it wasn't in it. The dog crossed the road. Like that's basically how I read.
And how old
And
were you when this happened?
like 8 years old, eight, nine
Okay.
years old. Yeah.
Yeah. Clear.
So they put me in that class, and I still remember to this day, I was sitting in the class and I was like looking around. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to get out of here. I'm not like these kids because they were actually like, they had issues. And I was
Yeah.
just sitting there like, okay. And so I learned how to read like that. The next year, I was on the principal's list, and it was basically just, I continuously got better. The only
Yeah.
class I struggled with was math, like to this day. Like, don't
Same
ask
here,
me any
man.
fractions or
I'm the
anything.
exact same.
You'll be like,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm gonna get off this interview now with Dylan.
Yeah.
But but no,
No,
I mean,
I'm
I was
exactly
always
the
I
same
kind of
way.
always felt like an outsider. And to make a long story short, my upbringing, I got to see my mom struggling, and she would go without eating sometimes. And I didn't realize this until much later because I asked her, "Do you know, as a kid, you sometimes create
No,
these memories?"
yeah.
And I asked her, she was like, "How did you know?" And she started tearing up, and I was like, "Oh, okay, sensitive topic." And
Sensitive. Yeah.
so I got to see that. And then with my dad, he was probably like middle class, later upper middle class. So I got to see money, like what money, like, oh, wow, we can go out to eat. My dad can have a car. My stepmom can have a car. So I got to experience both sides of that. So I always was like, had this obsessive desire, this drive to be able to make money. And I wanted to
Let
do
me
the
let me
corporate
let me
route.
interrupt you for a
Yeah.
second. Your dad won custody over your mom?
Yeah, because basically my mom almost died. And like it was like one of those moments where you go to school one day, your mom drops you off, and then you don't see her for like months.
Oh my god. That's got to be
And whenever I
bad,
did
man.
find her or got to see her again, she was like in the hospital, and I was just like, what is going on? I have no
Yeah.
idea. And then a couple months later, before I knew it, I was in the car going to live with my dad, which was really, really bizarre for my like childhood brain at the
Yeah,
time because I was like,
absolutely.
what is going on?
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I mean, I always kind of had that entrepreneur drive. I just
Yep.
wanted to apply it to the workforce. And to make a long story short, I tried like an eBay business where we would sell comic books. I had no idea about comics, but my friend did, and then I just had this knack for selling.
Yeah.
So we tried to do the whole eBay thing, and that worked for a little bit. And I was that guy for anybody that's watching this. If you bounce around to a bunch of different things, I was
Yeah.
that guy. I was
Hustling.
always trying something, starting something, and people would be, "Oh yeah, Dylan, he's got his ideas, yeah," but they didn't really think I would amount to anything. And
Yeah.
then fast forward to graduating high school, and I just went to college because I didn't know like what else to do.
So when
And
you graduate high school, you're like 18, 19?
yeah, like 18, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, okay. I get it.
And I might have been late 18 or maybe even 19 because I
Yeah.
got held back in the second grade. The year that my dad got custody of me, I failed that grade. And then that
Yeah,
was, so I got held back in the second grade.
understandable.
Uh, but yeah, so I just went to college and I was like 3 or 4 months in and I was learning small business entrepreneurship and marketing because that was the only thing I was actually interested in when I
Yeah.
looked over the curriculums. And I asked him whatever the professor's name was. I was like, hey, like, so what businesses if you ran? Because I thought that would give me a sense of direction. He'd never ran a business in his entire life. And I literally packed my bag and I walked out, and I spent the rest of my semester just smoking weed and hanging out in the library, reading and doing all that type of stuff until my parents found out one day. They sent me a text while I was bagging groceries at my job. We need to talk. Let me know as soon as you get home. And I was like, oh gosh, oh man, my whole soul just left me. And to make a story short, like
whenever you get a text from people saying we need to talk, that's never good.
My heart started like, I was like, oh God. And so fast forward to that, and then like I'd say like 2014, that was when I finally decided like, okay, no job is going to give me what I want. I tried. Every time I would find a job that I enjoyed and I would start bringing my energy and bringing my ideas, there's no like growth at all. It's just stuck. Oh, maybe in 5-10 years, but like I don't have time for that. I wanted to be rich.
Now.
And so 2014, I found boldanddetermined.com, dangerandplay.com, and got into that whole like mindset of like, oh my God, you can actually make money online. You can travel the world. You can do all of that. And that's what kind of woke me up. Yeah. And then fast forward to 2016, and I realized that like I was just two different people. And I like, for me, I'm a very impulsive person. Like, and I basically have to put myself, like throw myself into the fire. Otherwise I'm just do. So I broke up with the girl I was with at the time. I quit my job, and to verify my business idea, I drove for Uber one night and made like $75 in a matter of like 2-3 hours. I was like, wow, that's more than my job pays me.
Yeah.
So I put my 2 weeks notice in the next day. And it didn't work out too well because where I was from passed this law where Uber couldn't go to the airport. Basically, they made it really hard to make money. Yeah. So I was like, oh man, what do I do now? And so it might have only been a matter of weeks. It felt like an eternity, but I would just stare up at the ceiling because I had no idea of how to actually make money at the time. And coincidentally, I went to a grocery store, and it was one of those like life-changing decisions where you're sitting there and you really want the ground beef and like just actual food. But then you're like, but that's only going to last me like a day or two. That bread, like basically peanut butter and jelly and a gallon of water, though, that'll last me a little bit longer. Yeah. And so I went with that. And then on my way back, I got this random call from a guy named Brent. He was like, hey, Dylan, this is Brent from whatever his company was called. I saw that you applied for a job a long time ago. And I was just going through, you stood out, and I was wanting to talk and see if you might be interested. And of course, I'm open to anything. So he started telling me the thing. And he said, but the only thing is I want to get out of this business. So I'm not going to hire you. I'm going to introduce you to the property manager. But first, I need to meet you in person. But basically, what you're going to be doing is running a cleaning service, and you have to have your own equipment. If you want to rent a truck, or you can do it by hand. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just do it by hand. Blah 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 blah. I was broke. That's why.
Yeah, of course.
And he was like, okay, well, when can you meet me? I was like, I can meet you tomorrow. And he was like, great. How's 3 tomorrow? I was like, perfect. I'll see you at 3 p.m. at Publix. And he was like, no, it's 3 a.m. And I was like,
holy shit.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. And because literally meeting some guy, I had no idea like who this was. But I'll meet you at 3 in the morning.
At 3 in the morning.
Yeah. And so to make a long story short, met him, and he said, because I would have to do my own taxes and everything. At the time, I was like rich. He's like, you'll be getting paid $480 a week, and you have to worry about your taxes. Just talk about it with the property manager. I never did. I was just like, give me that $480. It's all mine.
Yeah, sure.
And
let's go.
And that essentially gave me the money to put my head above water for a little bit. And then I got an opportunity to intern to the guy that I was really looking up to at the time. And I got to learn how to do podcasting, how to write blog posts,
let me interrupt you for a second. So in between that time, like when you got paid, did you say 380 or 480?
480.
480. Yeah. Were you cleaning offices or houses or toilets? What were you doing?
So I had 3 different properties. The first property, I would basically be this weirdo with a bucket and like a trash picker. And I would be picking every piece of trash in the parking lot, cigarette butts, people's food that they throw out the window. And then I had to change 8 trash cans. And then the next property was a Walmart where I basically had to do the same thing. And then the final property, before I took on a marina much later, the final property was an apartment complex. And that was like blowing leaves, cleaning bathrooms, cleaning the gym, changing the dog trash cans.
I get it.
The best job ever. The best job ever.
Like my first job was cleaning toilets,
Yeah,
and when you say it, it sounds really bad, but in reality, it's not that bad. I mean,
it really isn't.
it's pretty
No.
chill,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, you
So
just sit
so
there listening to podcasts and
yeah,
music, and
exactly. Yeah,
nobody
you're your
messes
own
with you.
man. It's great.
Yeah, so I did that for a little bit. I came back from the internship completely broke, had $142 to my name, and because I was promised that I would get pay, but I just needed to get there, and then whatever. So I
Oh
came
shit.
back broke.
Yeah.
Huh?
There was a sort of promise of payment, but you didn't get it.
Yeah, so which was cool. I learned a lot. Like I
Yeah.
don't really hold things against people. I actually learned a lot during that time period that set me up for the next couple years once I got
Yeah.
back. But I had this moment of like an epiphany. I was at the airport in Phoenix, coincidentally, and like I was like, okay, all these people see something in myself that I don't see, but obviously I don't know what I'm doing. So I just sat down with a piece of paper and a pen, started writing all these ideas of how I could make money. And one of them was Craigslist flipping. I'd done that years ago whenever I had just gotten out of high school. So I knew I could make money from that. I could get back into the cleaning business. And I had like a bunch of other services that I thought I could offer. And I tried a little bit of all of them. The one that really stuck was the Craigslist flipping,
Yeah.
which is literally finding free items on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, side of the road, and you turn around and flip that for profit. So
And did you have
you
like
get
a
it for
car
cheap.
at this point, or truck or whatever?
Yeah, so I had a car, and whenever I worked at a deal with a friend of mine who had a truck, because my car was basically like and this probably won't mean anything to you, but as an American, the undercover cop car, but the luxury edition. So I had the
Yeah.
leather seats, had all that.
I
And
do get it. Yeah, I
so
have
yeah,
one
we
of
would
those
use
as
his
well.
truck, and to make a long story short, that carried me over, and then I ended up getting back into the cleaning business. And then fast forward to 2019, so a couple years later, fast forward to 2019, I once again hit that moment of like, oh my God, what am I not doing correctly? Like by this point, I was doing event management for like big names. I'd
Yeah.
worked on Ed Lattimore's book launch that became a bestseller. I was doing like writing blog posts for people. I had niche websites that were making some good money, like affiliate money. I was doing a little bit of
Yeah.
everything, but I was still too scattered. And I met a friend of mine named Jake Darby in Jamaica, and he was doing this thing called email copywriting. And I was like, okay, this guy's making more money than I am
Yeah.
typing emails, which I already do. Okay, let me figure that out. And coincidentally, that next weekend, so whenever I got back, my brother, as soon as we got back from the airport, he was like, "Hey, you know the Tates are in town, right?" I was like, "Oh no, they were here like a week or two ago," and
Yeah.
like in town meaning in the country. And
Yeah.
I was like, "Nah, they were here a week ago." He goes, "Oh no, they're still here right now. They're in DC." And so I DM'd Andrew, and I was like, by this point, I was already in the organization. I'll say, you know what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
already in the organization. I already had built up rapport with him. I was running a affiliate Twitter account and everything, so he knew who I was.
Yeah.
But I DM'd him essentially saying, like, "Hey, I don't expect you to. Like, I know you're busy. I don't expect you to meet me. However, I'm driving there. I'll be there in 8 hours. If we could grab coffee, that would be great." And he DM'd me. He's like, "Yeah, super busy. Just text me whenever you're here."
Yeah.
And to make a long story short, we sat down and over coffee, and then we went to a party that night, met again, and that was basically the moment. All these little stories that I've been telling the people who are watching, it all came together at that moment because he gave me a direction, and that's why I'm very big on giving people just move in a certain direction. Stop trying to do all these different things. You have to pick something and just move in that right direction. So I basically committed myself to the whole freelancing world and specifically email copywriting. And I mean, that's what essentially put me here. And I guess something I left out is like 6 months later, I moved in with Andrew for a couple months. So that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then that was once we were in Dubai, I decided like I want to travel the world. I'm making just enough money to where I can travel now.
Yeah.
So I spent some time in Europe, some time in the Middle East, South America, Central America, visited the States probably like 2.5 years later. And it wasn't all just, oh, everything was great. Like I was literally every week or two, I was still grinding, trying to like, okay, let me close this quick deal. That's why I'm
Yeah.
very like, whenever I teach people specifically within HU, et cetera, I teach you to take on retainers. That way you have predictable income. And that's why, because back then I was doing like week to week, like, hey, pay me like this $500.
Good
I'll
job.
write these emails for you. Hey, pay me
Yeah.
this and I'll do this for you. And it's cool, but you're going to be in survival mode. So that's why within HU in the freelancing campus, I'm teaching people like, yo, don't go after gigs, go after retainers. Because once you have like $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 coming in every month from one client, then you take
Yeah.
on the second client, you can predictably grow your income.
Yeah.
And
100%.
yeah, man, I mean, that's basically what I've done since 2019 is just focused on getting more skilled, building my reputation. Now I'm more so focusing on my own brand and how I can leverage that. But for anybody that's watching this and you're sitting there like, I don't know what to do, like pick a skill, focus on that skill, like developing your ability to fulfill or get results. And do it for yourself in the beginning. Like if you want to get into email copywriting, write emails for yourself, join a bunch of email lists, rewrite the emails,
Yeah.
and then join HU. And
Yeah.
we'll teach you how to go about doing it. I mean, it's really that simple. And I wish that we had back in those days the things that you and I now like are a part of, because my life would be, I mean, my life is great. I don't have any regrets, but man, some of these people, I don't think they realize how lucky they are with all the different, like they can come and watch your videos for free. They can get inside of HU.
Bro.
They can read all these people on Twitter, and it's just endless game.
It is something, right? I mean, when I'm even like, I'm ancient. I'm not as, you're way younger than I am. But even for you, when you started out, when you let's say when you found out about Victor Pride and Bold and Determined,
Yeah.
When was this? 2016?
2014. Yeah. In 2016, that was when I interned with a certain person I won't name drop, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a long time ago, right? And the internet was different back then.
Oh, it's totally different. Yeah.
Compared to now, like and it's only like 5 or 6 years, but it's so different. You can't even you can't really compare it. Now things are so much more like the blessing is that everything is accessible, and that's also the curse, because you have all these retards shouting in your ear as well, right? I mean, what I found interesting, you mentioned that you get back to the US, and then your brother tells you that the Tates are in town. In town meaning 8 hours drive away. Like, holy shit, man.
Yeah.
If I wanted to drive across the Netherlands, I can do that in 4 hours.
Oh my God.
That's 2 times my country. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you make the 8-hour drive to meet someone that didn't express, he didn't mention that he was actually going to meet you. He said he was busy and he would try to, right?
Yeah.
What makes you do that?
I've always been like that. Really, like as soon as I decide I want something, whatever reality actually is, I don't accept it. And I can't really, looking back, it's never permanently messed me up. It's definitely put me back a couple years financially. Maybe I just got into a hole, so I had to spend like a full year to get myself back up. But outside of that, me just deciding, okay, this is what I want. I refuse any other reality, but the reality I want, and then I just go towards it. And I mean, it's put me where I'm at now. Like people would see a bunch of different things that I've done, like even moving to a country where I've lived in countries where I knew 0 people alone, and like family are like, oh my God, Dylan, why are you going there? And I guess you could say it's self-belief. I guess that's really it. That's the secret is just if you truly want something. And for me, I have seen the reality of people at the time, whenever I was like 20, 21, I would work with coworkers that were in their late 30s that were looking forward to bar hopping on the weekend and softball and all this other nonsense. And I was like, if that's what life is, like I don't even want to live. And I know that sounds extreme, but like I can't imagine that. And then luckily I found all these obscure blogs back in the day that kind of showed a different sphere of what reality could be. Yeah. And yes, I mean, I just cannot be and I'm not saying I'm better than everybody, but like I can't live a regular life. Like it's just doing the same thing over and over and over. It makes me go crazy.
Do you have any idea why that would be? Like what would influence you to be different from other people?
I mean, I think some of it would definitely be my upbringing. It wasn't necessarily a bad upbringing in the fact of I was like raised in the ghetto, but like, now I won't name drop certain family members, but psychological attacks and all that type of stuff. So it kind of made me an outsider. I never really felt, even though I lived with my dad, like my siblings, they were half siblings, and my stepmom, it was noticeable. Like, this is my family. You just happen to be here. So from those days, like I always felt like an outsider. So I would spend my time reading and watching YouTube videos and just playing video games. And all that type of stuff. And I would try to stay away from the house as much as possible, because whenever I was there, that was when all chaos would happen.
Yeah.
Which definitely messed me up in certain senses of the word. But as you become more of your own self, you realize it was actually a blessing, and not while it was bad in the moment, it set you up to be the person you are today. So, I mean, I'm grateful for all those things. Like I've actually had a conversation with her whenever I visited. I forgave her. Everything was great. Like, I just faced it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'd say that would probably be why I always felt like an outsider, and I always felt like I was pushed to the side, which made me. I was like, okay, well, other people aren't going to give me the love and the validation and give me what I want, so I just have to like push myself out there.
Yeah.
So later in life, like whenever I was around 2021, I basically was just like, okay, if I actually want this life that everybody says is a pipe dream, and I don't want to work entry level jobs for the rest of my life, I just have to do anything and everything I have to do to get to that. As long as it's legal and all that, like, I'll do anything.
Yeah, probably makes sense to do legal stuff.
Yeah.
I agree. And did you finish college?
No, just 2 to 3 months, and then I never went back again.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, let's not do that. I get it. So you get into that whole lifestyle. You read about the people that can say that basically you can make money by writing, which
Yeah.
is incredible, right? I mean, for me, when I look back at my school years, the one thing that I usually stood out with was writing. I was pretty good
Same.
at that. The one thing that I sucked at was math. So, yeah. It's really bad.
Another thing we relate in.
Yeah. So, and then because writing, usually when people look at it, it's like a poor man's career. Like you sort of get the whole Van Gogh timeline where you cut off your ear and you die penniless. That wouldn't be good. Or Hemingway dying an alcoholic is better than cutting off your ear, but marginally, right?
Yeah.
It's close. Yeah. So one of the things that people keep telling or keep advising is, go build your connections. But if you're broke and you don't have any skills, it's going to be hard as fuck to build connections.
Yes.
Because why the hell would anyone connect with you anyway? You're, So where does that dude start?
Yeah, I mean, I was that dude, and basically I selflessly gave for years. Like, it's something you can't expect to get just, they're going to recognize me and start paying me. Like, I just found any little way that I could be valuable to people how I am now. Like, anybody that I looked up to, I would like, how can I be of value to this person? I would always approach them from that sense. I never asked for a penny. I would write blog posts for people for free. I would write their Amazon sales pages for free. I would proofread their books for free. And I'm talking about the entire books, hundreds and hundreds of pages. I would make graphics for them. I would edit videos for them. I like anything and everything I could do to just be a part of that person's world. I would do it for free. Yeah. But too many kids nowadays that have tried to interact with me, they'll try to do one or two little things and then charge premium prices. Yes. And of course, that instantly I close that bridge. I'm okay, cool.
Yeah, you don't get it.
Yeah, they just don't get it. So if you can put your ego to the side as far as needing to get paid now, and put your ego into delivering just amazing results for other people, and you don't expect anything, like genuinely don't expect anything in return. You just want to be like, you understand that if you can just get close to that person, that magic will just rub off. That I literally believe that. That's why I would just give and give and give and give. Just me being near that person was just as good, if not better, than getting paid. And if you can do that for long enough, you'll be recognized and they'll appreciate all the effort, and then they'll hire you. I mean, a lot of the people that have been working for me now for about 2 years, they used to be that. They would just find any little thing they could do to give value to me. I mean, some of the people I've just hired from because they got referred to me, but some of my day one people that are working with me, they've been with me since they were just like a fan, a follower, whatever you call it. But they would try any little way they could be of value to me, and then boom. I reciprocate that because I used to be that guy.
So something that came up to me just now when you were saying that, it's like it's very much not like a chick with orbiters around her and beta dudes always trying to suck up to her, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the other way around. That she is going to get value from them. But if you're a dude and you have people around you that are actually providing value, the law of reciprocation is, sort of working where you want to help them out. I mean, I have that same dynamic where if someone helps me out, I want to help them out. But but it's like simping in a good way. It's hard to put into words, right?
Yeah.
But I feel exactly the same way, man. I mean, well, looking back, right? Because you work with quite a few people, also quite a few names that are still active now.
Mhm.
Would you say that they mostly reciprocated?
Definitely the biggest names that I have and do work with, they definitely just reciprocated it because I'm just that guy where I'm always the first one up, the last one to go to bed. If you hit me up at like 1 or 2 in the morning, I mean, now I'm like, if you hit me up at 2 in the morning, I'll get to it in the morning. But back
Yeah, yeah,
then, like I didn't care if you text me at 2 a.m. I
yeah,
would stay up till 5 or 6 a.m. before I had to go clean properties to get it done.
yeah,
Like I was just that guy. Like even if I was just sleeping an hour a night, I didn't care because I just wanted it that bad.
yeah,
Like any little thing I could do to be of value to that person, I would do it because I just saw long term at some point, either I'm going to figure it out along the way or they'll give me the opportunity.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, that was my approach for the longest time. And I would say 2016 to 2019, that was whenever I was that guy. I was just any little thing I could do for people of value that I wanted to work with or I looked up to in some shape or form. I'll just be of value, and it has came back in a massive way. I mean,
yeah,
you know me behind the scenes. You know how I'm traveling, and like everything I wanted to do, I've gotten that and more. And I've now
yeah.
been able to retire my mom. My girl doesn't have to worry about any type of job. I mean,
That's awesome.
I mean, that's proof in and of itself that it'll work. You just have to stop being so selfish, as in like, let me get my little breadcrumbs right now and just see
Yeah.
the long term vision.
It's almost counterintuitive, right? Because
Yeah.
I've had very much the same. Like when you were telling me about your internship, I had
Mhm.
an extremely similar situation where, I interned for a month, and then I didn't get paid. Like
Mhm.
I mean, I think I got lunch once. That's it. So that doesn't really pay the bills. But
Yeah.
it's looking back, that was an immensely valuable experience. I wouldn't miss it for the world. Like if I could change anything, I wouldn't go back and say, "Hey, let me demand my payment after the first month or something." No, I wouldn't do that. And then like you're doing this from 2016, 2019, but even then, I mean, you had Facebook, you had all the social media. How do you stay off that? How do you struggle with discipline?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the discipline thing, the motivation thing, it's never necessarily, I mean, the discipline definitely has been an issue in a certain way, like fitness. I've always
Yeah,
kind of struggled with the fitness aspect. Like I used to be 285 pounds a while back. uh,
285.
yeah, 285 pounds. I've since lost almost all that weight. I'm still,
Holy
now
shit,
I'm working
Dylan,
on
you're
just
a
building up the
beast.
strength. Uh, yeah. But
Woo!
other than that, I mean, the discipline thing hasn't necessarily been an issue. When it came to social media, luckily back then, social media wasn't that big of a thing. It was mainly
Yeah,
just blogs.
yeah.
So like I would read a blog article or two, and then that was basically it.
You were doing reading, like not scrolling endlessly, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then YouTube, while it was popular, there weren't really any people that were worth watching at that time. Back then, I mean, Gary Vee was pretty popular back then, but I didn't really, I don't dislike him, but I didn't really vibe with the content he
Yeah,
was putting
it's
out.
possible. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I do like some of the content, but I didn't really watch it back then. And then Twitter, I would say around 2018, that was when it started to become kind of a big thing. And that was when I started creating like tweets and all of that. But I also
Yeah,
accepted I'm not living a life worth like that's interesting. So I didn't expect for it to just to pop off and everything. So while I would mindlessly scroll a little bit, it didn't really necessarily, it wasn't an issue. The
yeah,
only time it did kind of become an issue was once I was earning more than enough money for everything I needed. And then I'd be like, oh, well, I don't really have to do as much.
yes.
Let me just get on Twitter. It's a part of my business. And that's when discipline had to come into the mix. And
Yeah,
I did get kind of addicted to mindlessly scrolling and compulsively tweeting and posting on Instagram.
yeah.
So
It's
it's
a human
still
brain thing, right? You
helping
can
me.
you sort
Yeah.
of
But
can't even stop it. Really, it's hard.
yeah, and then I didn't have access to my phone for like 2 or 3 days, and I felt my thoughts were so much more clear, and I didn't
Yeah,
feel so like frantic. Like ever since then, it's like it's not necessarily an issue. Once you realize, after you get addicted to it, and you realize how much better your brain feels not being on social media. For me, at least, the discipline it happens effortlessly because you're like, oh, I actually feel less frantic. My mind is better, more clear thoughts, etc. So it hasn't really necessarily been an issue. But for the person watching this, that they're sitting there and they don't know what to do. So they're, oh, just let me mindlessly scroll on social media to see if I can find this secret that I'm missing. You're not going to find the secret that way. You're only going to find the secret by actually putting in the work. So sit down and get started, start applying something, try a skill such as email copywriting or any of the other skills out there. And that's how you'll find the quote unquote secret. It's not going to be floating out there on Twitter as you're just,
but that's the thing. Like our brain sort of tricks you into that thinking where if I read one more tip, maybe it's there. Yeah. Watch one more video, maybe that's the It's not. The magic thing isn't gonna, appear out of nowhere. I mean, that two things that came up to me while you were talking about that. Whenever people ask me, like, do you regret anything? Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. I got a standard answer and a non-standard answer. Standard answer is no, I don't regret anything because I like where I am. Blah blah blah. All right.
Yeah.
So the non-standard answer is, yeah, I wish I would have started with YouTube, Twitter, etc. earlier, like years ago. I wish I would have done that.
Yeah.
And you said something just now that is super interesting, where you say, I didn't live a life where, I'm paraphrasing, but I didn't live a life where I had something that's, necessarily worth sharing. Because like for me, if I had to go back in time and talk to young Arno is like way more dumb than this Arno, which is saying something. And even then I would tell him, make a Twitter account, start tweeting, even if it's a bad take, just start building it up. Mm-hmm. Would you do the same?
Yeah. I mean, before you saw the great bald man before you now, I used to, I would stutter and do all that. And I was not the best at speaking. I would mumble. I was that guy that would be talking and you'd hear me say something, but you weren't quite sure. And you just, whatever, and just keep going about your day. And I used YouTube to overcome that. Like I was super nervous talking in front of people. I would stutter all the time. Yeah. And I used YouTube as a way to force myself to get good at speaking. Like how I got over the stutter was I would essentially read a chapter of a book and I would record it in different tonalities, different accents. I would speak loud, I would speak soft, and I would just record it and I would listen to it. And that took about 30 days to get over the whole stutter thing. And I realized I was stuttering.
Wait, 30 days?
Yeah, just 30 days.
Short? Holy shit. Yeah. I've never, we talked at length. I've never heard you stutter before, ever.
Oh, yeah, because I found that the reason I was stuttering is I would get nervous talking to another person and I would forget to breathe. And then I would start like just stuttering and my mind would go blank and I wouldn't know what to say, which would make me more nervous. And so I discovered it was just the breathing. And once I fixed that, magically my stutter basically went away. I still stutter very, very little, like at random times, but then I start breathing and everything's back to normal. And then
wow, that's great, man. That's super interesting.
Yeah, and then I used YouTube to basically get better at being able to speak and improv. Like whenever I make my videos, I don't have a script. I just, okay, here's the idea, and I start recording. And that's because since, like 2017, 2018, I've been making YouTube videos. And I had another channel. I made a video and I won't name drop certain keywords where I spoke my actual opinion on something, and they took it down. And so... No. Yeah, so that channel doesn't exist anymore. But my new channel, it's vanilla, just mainstream type of content. Yeah. And so, to go back in hindsight, I would tell my past self, like, yes, keep doing YouTube, but don't think about it from the sense of, okay, I want to monetize this and I want to turn this into a business. I would say just document what you're doing, which I did in small senses of the word, but I did still try to kind of give advice on where I was at that time and what I was working on. Yeah. So, I mean, for the people that are watching this right now, you should be making YouTube videos. You should be making YouTube shorts.
Yes.
You could even post on TikTok if you would like, but really go into just documenting where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Don't try to be something you're not. You don't have to be Mr. Success Guru or anything. Just share what you're like going through your day, different ideas, different lessons. And before you know it, you'll be able to monetize it. Like you can promote like other people's products. It's called affiliate marketing. You can get paid that way. But more importantly, what are you building? You're building the ability to communicate and to speak. You're building the ability to edit videos, to make thumbnails, aka graphic design. So that's how I was able to very quickly figure out what I wanted to do. is because I was doing video editing, I was doing graphic design, I was writing blog posts, I was writing emails, I was writing sales pages, I was doing all that for myself, and then I started doing it for other people. And then once you start getting paid for something, you very quickly realize if you enjoy doing it. I hate making sales pages. I'm good at it, but I hate it. I'm good at writing blog posts, but blogs aren't really the same like they used to be. Twitter ghostwriting, I've tried that, and I do it a little bit for clients of mine, but mainly it's just getting people to sign up to the email list.
Yeah.
The thing that really stood out for me personally and that I was good at was writing emails. So that's what I focused on. But so yeah, try a little bit of everything, and you can leverage social media to find clients.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry. I mean, you can do cold email and all that, but if you're building a social media brand and you're just documenting yourself and you're putting out I guess educating people on what you're doing. So like if I was writing emails, I would post case studies or post emails that I've been writing for other people, and then they can see it on your page and you can share different things you're learning as you're going about the journey. And that's, what is that? Social proof. Oh my God. Yeah. And then you can close a client and then you can get that social proof. So yeah, anybody that's watching this, you 100% should be posting content in today's world. Otherwise you don't exist. So you should definitely be building it.
Yeah. I'm actually doing a video now on in Hustlers University on business mastery, and it's about lead generation. And basically, there are two types. I found out that you got the one step where you do cold outreach, or you do door. I mean, I started out doing door knocking in real estate. That's like brutal.
Wow.
Or cold calling. It sucks ass. So I started out doing that. And then I added the two-step stuff where it's basically you put out, bait for, if you compare it to fishing, the one step is like spear fishing where you stand in the water and just hit it.
Yeah.
Try to hit it. And then the two-step is basically you put out bait and you wait till they start nibbling on it. Then you reel them in. Yeah. That's the whole social media thing, right? Where they can sort of find you, check you out, see what kind of guy you are. Right, and what your work is. It's actually funny. A couple months ago, I don't know if you remember this, I was doing this experiment where I was sort of having fun trying to get into a certain niche, and I hit you up and I said, "Hey, I'm about to do this and this and this," and your feedback was, "Yeah, it's a great idea, but you should do one thing. You should only do this. Focus on this is this is the thing you do." I did it. It was great, by the way. I made a good amount of money, so it actually works. So you're proven right, just for the record. So we have it on tape. But it's actually funny if you look at it. It's a very upward cycle where you start out with a niche and an idea, then you start building content around it. You do outreach at the same time, and it's just an upward cycle because every client or even every proposal you do, it's like, I made proposals for this and this and this. I mean, it's not a client, but it's a proposal, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's like an upward thing. And for you, it must have been the same because you work with quite a few people that have a decent name in social media, etc., so that you could refer to.
Yeah, for me, within the email copywriting realm, it's not good to go around saying, "Hey, I actually write this person's emails." But whenever you're doing the outreach, you could say, "This is my approach." I'd be, "Hey, here's one of the clients or here's how much money I've made one of my clients over the past, like today's the 12th. I would get a screenshot and say, here's how much money I've made one of my clients over the past 12 days of this month. And I've also done this and I would name drop a couple of people. And so I've already showed social proof because I also put a screenshot so that they know I'm not just claiming something.
It's real. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would say, and here's some ideas that I have for you. And I would give like 2 or 3 bullet points. If this sounds like something you're interested in, let me know. We'll get on a call this week. Boom. And I would just send that DM out. And for me, and I teach people this obviously within the freelancing campus and Hustlers University, but for me, it's more of a sniper approach. I don't like just sending all these dozens and dozens of
600 a day.
For me, it's more so it's like, okay, let me look over this person. They've got X amount of followers. Okay, they actually have engagement. So they're not somebody that has like 100,000 followers and somehow gets like 2 likes and 2 retweets. Like, okay, that's not real. So I look for somebody that has an actual audience. And then next I'll look and see, okay, does this person have an offer? And if they have an offer, okay, cool. Do they actually have reviews? And that could literally be ratings on Gumroad, or it could be like actual video review, like testimonials. And then cool. And then from there, I'll pitch them my service. So it takes a little bit more quote unquote time, but in the long run, you save more time because you actually get paid. So it's less about just DMing like 50 people a day. And I can literally DM 5 to 10 people in a day, and I have a much higher chance of getting them because I've specifically chosen them based off certain like things that I've identified. And you can do that from Twitter. You can do that from Instagram. You can even do it from YouTube, but obviously you have to email them. But like Instagram and Twitter specifically are two of the best apps for finding clients. LinkedIn's good for because I work with info product based people. LinkedIn for me wasn't as good. But Twitter and Instagram were, oh my God, there is a gold mine. And it still is.
It depends on the niche, right? But I do see what you mean. It can slide right into their DMs. Like the world has never been more approachable, and the communication has never been easier, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
I mean, I remember I'm so ancient that I used to send out letters.
Oh, really?
Swear to God. Yeah. No, it's worse. I used to send out letters, and then I told people you can respond by fax. Yeah. I used to do fax. Like, I mean, that, a fax used to be like a printer, and for the younger people, you should look it up. Fax is the FAX. It's a thing. We used to be a thing. So, you're not really into, because you mentioned Gary Vee. Gary Vee is really into, I don't want to mischaracterize, but into the grind mindset. Like work 18 hours a day, go to sleep, start over again. And you're not really into that.
Oh, that's correct. I mean, I definitely did my 18 hours a day. Like whenever, this was in 2016 and 2017, I would literally go through periods where I wouldn't sleep for like an entire, like example, tonight, I wouldn't go to sleep. I'd stay up the entire, all day today, all day tomorrow. And then I might sleep an hour or two. So I've definitely done my fair share of grinding, but once I started making money, I very quickly realized like you don't really need to do that. Like as long as you're intentional, like you can get to a point where you can work less, then you can make more money. However, I'll add a caveat. To get to that point, you do have to grind. Like you do have to put in a ton of effort. You have to be disciplined. You have to work your butt off not necessarily 24/7, but every last second counts. So even whenever I was working a 9 to 5 before 2016, while I was on my job, like on the clock, I would be on my phone thinking, okay, what's a new, like a niche website that I can make? Okay, cool. Once I get home, I'm going to write this article. I would get home without changing, go straight to my desk, drink some water, and start writing articles. So you do have to do that for quite a long time, but you do reach a certain point where you start realizing like, okay, if I break away from this objectively, I actually only need to do this, this, and this to get the results that I'm wanting. I don't have to do this list of like 1,000 other things.
Yeah.
So I do believe you need to grind for sure in the beginning. However, your goal should be finding what actually works, and then you can double down on that. And you'll find, like example, I can wake up and probably work 2 to 4 hours a day, and everything's done. I can magically enjoy the rest of my day. I can even go a day or two without working but I have to plan in advance. And that was my goal eventually. Like I ended up meeting a guy named Shane Hunter, and he helped me kind of divorce my mind from like go, like just work, and instead break it and systemize it a little bit more. Because I already had people that were working for me, and at this point I was doing like 25K a month, but I didn't have a life. It was still, if I got a text message, there's my phone. I reached over to grab my phone. If I got a text message, I would immediately look at it, respond. And like let's say my girl and I were going out on a date, and this happened quite a few times. Whenever we all meet in person again, you can ask her. We'd literally be on the road to a date, and I would get a text message to be like, nope, we can't go out. We got to go home. Got to get my laptop. Change change the location of the Uber, go back, open up my laptop, sit down and write an email real quick, send that thing off.
Date is over.
I've done my fair share of grinding, but eventually you get to where you're like, okay, this is what I actually need to do. And you have a good team, and then you can actually enjoy your life. Yeah.
It's a Pareto principle thing, right? Where the 80% doesn't matter, 20% matters. You double down on that.
Yeah.
So I feel you. And I think I appreciate you adding the caveat, because I feel that everyone needs to sort of get through that period where you the grind sort of forces you to do it, because these days
you have to pay your dues.
Because when you say it, like everyone's like, oh yeah, I want to work 2 to 4 hours a day, sounds great, sign me up. Well, that's not the way it works though.
No, not at all. I mean, you will, like, and just to add more context, literally from like 2016 when I quit my job, like August 2016, I wrote about it on commoncollective.com, like the whole process of me quitting everything.
Yeah.
So it's all out there. But like 2016 to, man, you could even say 2020, I was full grind mode. Every last second of or any ounce of an opportunity, I would maximize it. And
Yeah.
then 2020, that was when I started really, because by this point I was actually began making some decent money, probably the middle of 2020. But funny story, I wasn't that hungry at the time. I was just grind. And I got, during the lockdown, GETTR, which was, went to visit. While I was visiting, and it was a kind of expensive country for me at the time,
Yeah.
closed their borders. I couldn't leave. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm stuck here, so I've got to figure it out. And that, within a matter of a month or two, magically, I was making $8,000 a month. And then I got to 15 grand a month. And then by like late 2020, I was doing pretty well. And then 2021, I was doing great. And then by this point, I already had people working for me. And then that was when I finally divorced my mind from this idea of like, oh, I'll be honest, I was addicted to stress. If I was not stressed out, I felt like something was bad was happening.
Yeah.
And I to this day, I can still get into that, but I'm mature enough now to like, breathe, Dylan.
Recognize
you don't need to be
it,
stressed.
right?
Everything's fine. So like, if things are good, that's great. Just work harder, enjoy this brief moment of like, just everything's going well, because at some point it'll start going down. But by that point, you can double down and everything works out. So for the audience, you do have to grind, but eventually you can kind of take a step back and work 2 to 4 hours. But it might be a couple years from now.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. Like I did the video on life is long. It really is, man. Like I said, I'm in my late 30s. I can guarantee you life is pretty long, especially if you're watching this and you're like 19. Plenty of time, brother. Don't worry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Like I wasn't at an event this weekend, and like I'm surrounded by all these. Like one dude was 19, one was 21, 25, and everyone's like super hurry. You need to make the deadline, etc. And like I'm way older. I'm 10 plus years older, and I don't want to say be lazy, but there is time. I mean, you don't have to, like, you could die today. You could be hit by a meteor. It's possible.
Yeah.
But, you know, then you're dead, which is fine anyway. So you won't know. It's fine. But chances are you won't be dead. So, you know, better, the time is going to pass anyway. Better fill it up with something useful, right? And from our time together, right, I can verify that Dylan is pretty much a man of God. I tried to get him to booze. I tried to get him to smoke. You know, he didn't partake that much as I would. How do you handle that? Like, do you booze a lot? Do you smoke a lot? How do you handle diet? How do you do that? Because once you're sort of successful, it becomes harder to keep up the discipline.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I don't really enjoy boozing because it makes me tired. Give me like 2 or 3 vodkas, and I'm like, man, I just want to lay down. So that basically solves my whole issue, quote unquote, with drinking.
I wish I had that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm more of a social drinker. So, like, the other night, I took some people out that I'm networking with to a really cool restaurant down the street, and I drank probably like 9 whiskeys, which is a decent amount of whiskey. Yeah, and they drink a lot. We were having a good time, but I probably won't drink again for another couple weeks. So, most of the time, I'm not drinking. My only quote unquote vice is I'll have the occasional cigar, but once again, I'm not doing it all the time. The way I maintain it is, one example. Well, actually, I haven't told the story publicly. Back in 2019, I tried to keep up with the Tate brothers, with their drinking, with their smoking, and all of that. Literally within I was only there for 3.5 months. My gums started bleeding. If I ate food, my gums would start bleeding. And so I was like, okay, this is not good for me personally. This is not for me. So I tuned it down,
man. It's not normal. It's not normal.
So I learned my limits. And for me personally, drinking, if I drink too often, and for me, I don't know, like if I drink a couple times in a week, my brain noticeably feels slower. Like I get brain fog and all of that. Yeah. Smoking, I probably smoke a cigar a week. So I don't really do that. And the way I maintain diet, that's the one area that I do kind of get lazy with as far as like working out. Like diet wise, I don't actually eat that bad. Back in the day, whenever I was like stressed out all the time, I would emotionally eat. And I know that sounds really like lame. And I
was about to ask you that, man, because I used to be a couple years ago. Yeah, I used to be much heavier than I am now. So probably 220, something like
Mhm.
that. It sort of creeps up on you. I mean, I always tell people you're fat by choice, because I never accidentally ate anything in my life. Doesn't happen.
Oops.
Like oops, yeah. You know, the Kentucky
Oh,
Fried
that's the
Chicken just
third
flew into
donut.
my mouth. I don't know, but still, it creeps up on you, and
Yeah.
then it's a conscious effort to lose the weight. Which, I
Mhm.
mean, you lost a lot of weight. That's impressive,
Yeah.
and then you have to keep it off. But so
Yeah.
let me start out with the first thing. How did you lose it?
So basically, I got out of the shower one day and was so disgusted at what I saw in the reflection that I just stopped eating. Like I would
Yeah.
eat like bare minimum just to not feel like super hungry. So I would eat like a pound of. This is when I was working a job. Pound of ground beef a day with a can of tuna. That was it. That was all I would eat, and I started drinking way more water.
Hardcore.
Yeah, super
Okay.
hardcore. And that's basically how I dropped from like 285 to around like 202. And then to drop from that to around 170, it was just, I started actually learning about nutrition and
Yeah.
okay, I can still eat carbs. It's not the devil, but I need to just tone it down. And I need to make sure I'm not over consuming a certain amount of calories. And I need to make sure that I'm being more
Yeah.
active. So right now that I'm back in my home base of Paraguay, like I'm back on my regular grind. Like whenever I was traveling, I wasn't really working out outside of doing like push-ups and the burpees without
Yeah, of
the
course,
weights
harder.
like the Tates do. Yeah, so I was still doing that, but now I'm back in the gym. I'm only doing it 3 times a week because for the rest of this month my schedule's pretty busy. So instead of I'm so busy, can't work out. No, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you were in the gym and then you're sparring afterwards for like an hour. So
Yeah,
that
it's a
is
scheduled
2
appointment.
hours Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in my appointment book. So
Yeah.
that's going to happen. And then diet wise, I'm going to eat rice later today that my girl makes, white rice, and I'll eat some beef. This morning I ate what did I eat? A can of tuna. So it's
Yeah.
like once you start learning about nutrition, and then you go and I'm not telling everybody to do this now, but at some point you can get kind of in tune with your body. So I know
Yeah.
whenever I need to eat a little bit more because I'll start feeling a little bit more. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to eat a little bit more. But if I feel clear of mind and my energy's good like it is now, I'm like, okay, that's a good baseline. A can of tuna, and then I'll eat some rice and steak later today. I'm good. But you really just have to learn how your body is, and you only can do that just like with making money after you've gained that experience. So you can't just read about it and then, oh, okay, like you actually have to do it.
It's not the
So for
same,
me,
right?
my quote unquote secret and how like by the end of this year, I plan to be in the best shape I've ever been in. I've already made that decision again because I did a photo shoot the other day and the pictures were amazing.
Yeah.
But I had this one video that they did and they had a weird angle from behind. I was like, oh God. Oh. And I posted it to Instagram and some guy was like, oh, your body looks like what did he say? A pear. And I was like, oh, okay. I noticed it. This random Anon guy
God
noticed it.
damn.
Okay. I'm getting
Fuck.
back in the gym. So
Yeah.
basically it's just fat shaming yourself. Step number 1. Step number 2 is just
Ooh, that's
educate
good,
yourself
yo.
on nutrition. You have to fat shame yourself.
That's good.
Like you can't
Yeah.
lie to yourself about like, oh yeah, I'm Mr. Alpha. Yeah, I'm the like. Be honest. You have
Yeah,
to be
this
honest
man.
with yourself.
Yeah.
And too many people they try to live in this like diluted world of like they're the best thing ever. And but are you?
Yeah, I
Most
agree
people, the answer
100%.
is no. So
Yeah,
like if you look at yourself,
actually,
you're like, oh yeah,
100%, man. I did a
yeah.
video today, actually, like half of the video. I have to record the next half tomorrow, about the power of shame, and the
Yeah.
fact that peer pressure is fine as long as you select your peers very carefully. So if you're among drug addicts, that's not a good thing. But if you're among people that actually want to achieve something,
Mhm.
that's great peer pressure, man. If you compare yourself to them, like
Yeah.
I have some dudes in the physical department that absolutely dwarf me. Like they kill me in every metric. And that's
Mhm.
great. Like then you can try to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll never beat them, which is fine, but I'll sure as fuck improve, right? That's very interesting. And then you say that you sort of learned about nutrition,
Mhm.
which is clear. Would you say that it's similar to work, where you say that you realize at a certain point that the Instagram, TikTok, etc., that consuming it is not good for you? So with food, it must be the same way, right? If you consume fake food, you realize at a certain point it's not good for you, so you just don't do it anymore. Is that a fair assessment?
Oh yeah, it's 100% fair. Like for me, once I started starving myself like the initial diet,
Yeah.
but I felt way better overall, and then I started losing weight. and I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much this fat was holding me down.
Yes.
Now, like I can get up, I can get from the ground way faster. I have more energy. And then as you start becoming more aware of how foods make you feel, you're like, oh, okay. Whenever I eat this, it makes my brain feel all foggy. When I eat this, I just want to go to sleep like an hour later. Whenever I eat this, I can go about my day. And through that, and then just reading about it, and then living it in reality, you very quickly start picking up and learning things, just like with work.
I talked to a family member, and she was she's 55, and then all of a sudden she tells me, "You know what, Arno? Whenever I eat in the afternoon, if I eat a heavy meal, I'm really tired afterwards." And this woman is 55. Like, honey, did you not notice this in the past 55 years? Holy shit! Did you just now figure this out? Holy fuck!
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like she was telling me, like it was a scientific breakthrough. I'm like, yeah, figures are.
Well, most people just really aren't aware. I mean, that's why on Twitter all the time I'm saying, wake up now. Like,
yes,
you go through your life, and we all, even me, there are certain things where I'm like maybe in some kind of trance and I'm not aware of it. But like everybody goes through their life and they're unaware of so much. Yes. Like a lot of people go through the day and they just, example, I literally had to go to the doctor because I was like overwhelmingly just tired all the time. Yeah. And this was when I was probably a freshman in high school. And like they actually thought something was wrong with me, and they started doing all these tests. Then it came back that I was actually in like basically perfect health. And I was like, well, why am I tired? And they started asking me about my diet. And what I found out is it was because I was hardly drinking water. So I was just dehydrated. For most people, oh yeah, I need another cup of coffee. Oh, I need this Adderall. I need this stimulant. No, just drink more water and like become aware of your body. Yeah. Like for me, like I think I would drink like a cup of coffee and a glass of water in the morning, might drink out of the water fountain a little bit during the day, and then I would drink a glass of water at night. That was all I would drink the entire day. And so no wonder I was so tired, because my brain and body was like, we're like
makes sense.
The desert of Qatar.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. Most of the problems you have in your life is because of you. It's not because of some external event 100%. That happened. It's not that God doesn't love you, or it's because you could have made the decision and put in the effort, but you chose not to. Instead, you chose to pick up the video games and play that, or watch a couple more videos, or binge watch Netflix for the past like 8 hours instead of putting even an hour into learning something from within HU or something. So it's your fault that your life is shit. And until you accept that, and you're not waiting for God, you're not waiting for Arno to come out of the screen and embrace you and teach you all the secrets of the universe. You need to actually put in the effort. It's your fault. Yeah.
No, I mean, whenever I talk about this, people, there's inevitably some dude that comes out and says, no, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. Mm-hmm. And that is correct, by the way. That, semantically, that's very correct. I just like saying it's your fault because it triggers more people. I like pissing people off. Yeah. So because it sort of wakes you up, right? I mean, I understand. Like if you get hit by a nuke tomorrow, it's not your fault, but it was your responsibility. You could have gotten out. But I actually like that viewpoint where a lot of the things that we assume are toxic or bad for you, or like children, for example, they immediately assume it's their fault by nature, even though it probably isn't. But that's not a bad way to go through life, because at least if it's your fault, you can do something about it.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. That's way better than assuming that God doesn't love me. Like for some of you watching, God doesn't love you. That's true. I'm sorry.
It is. I spoke to him yesterday.
Yeah, you ate the wrong animal at the wrong day. I don't know, but that's just your fault. But for me and Dylan, God loves us, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can shoot you a text message.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we have a direct connection to him. So, or her, or it. I don't know. Anyway. So, and if let's say you're starting out, right? You're young, you're starting out, you're building your whole brand, you're building your whole thing. It is going to be hard to not be needy because you're hungry. Yeah. You want food, you want money, you want recognition, you want clients. How do you handle that? Because you and I both, we've been in that position, and it's hard to not let it shine through.
Yeah, I mean, the way I overcame it is like, I'm not going to sit here and lie to the people that are watching and say, oh, yeah, I didn't want to get paid and I didn't want recognition. I reached a point basically where I just realized it would come at some point. Like once I deserved it, it would happen. So until then, I just need to keep giving and giving and giving, and just throwing stuff against the wall, like grabbing a handful of shit, and just and eventually something's gonna stick. So that's why like I would build all these niche blogs around various affiliate products. I even launched this like affiliate YouTube channel. I had my own personal blog, and then I started offering services to other people, like writing articles for Gorilla Mind, writing articles for other bloggers, like just any little thing I could do. And you just have to accept it might take a while. It might take 5 years. It might take 10 years. Who knows? But the faster you can move and the faster you can try different things, and then once you find something that kind of sticks and you just double down on that, you're going to get from where you're at now to where you want to be much faster. But you need to overcome that short-term thinking of, oh, I need to be making 10 grand a month now. Okay, all these other people are doing it, so I'm a loser. Well, maybe you're a loser, but you can overcome that. And if you just apply yourself, you're going to very quickly get ahead of most people out in this world.
You won't stay a loser. Like if you do the actions necessary for winning, you won't stay a loser forever.
No, actually, that's a really good point. And that takes me back to, I started taking on this alter ego, which later became Moneybag Madden. Like I created this alter ego. Back in the day, it was the East Coast Renegade, because I was from the East Coast. And the East Coast Renegade was basically everything I wanted to be, but it wasn't some like crazy, like he's worth $500 billion. Like it wasn't like that. It was, he was making, at the time, it was really low. It was like $5 grand a month. But not just, he's making $5 grand a month. He's making $5 grand a month by doing this, this, and this. And then I broke everything down and made it like, I guess, reality. It was, I could actually achieve it. And I didn't just keep it vague. I made it very, very specific. And I became the East Coast Renegade. And then whenever I moved abroad, I became Moneybag Madden, which people just think is my nickname, but it actually was my alter ego. And then I became that. But you have to make it realistic. It can't be some just so far out there that you can never reach it. My alter ego is me, but just a little bit better. But it's very, very specific on how he's achieving it. Like if you want to make $10,000 a month, okay, I'm going to be making $5K per client. So that's 2 clients. I'm going to be offering this service to this, blah, 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 blah. Get as specific as possible. And that's what makes it real. And then from there, it's easy. You just have to do the actions every single day. And eventually, as Andrew would say, you make it real.
I 100% agree. And that's an interesting point you bring up, because we both of us, we get like student goals or we talk to people. And then it's like, I want to make $1 billion by the time I'm 22. And you're 20 and a half now. So, I mean, and you're making 0. I mean, that's a pretty big leap. That's, I mean, even like Kennedy said, like, we're going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. And that was like 1961 or 1962. And they made it in 1969, if you believe in that. To give the conspiracy theories people something. But I mean, it in a way, I love that the way you phrase that, where whatever you're moving toward, like, sure, if you want to be the $1 billion man, that's great. But if you're making 0 now, let's get you to 5K first, at least, right? And then 10, and then 15, and then 25, and then we go from there. It doesn't make sense to say, I'm the 0 man now, going to make $1 billion tomorrow, and then you have the retarded advice saying, you can't mow your own lawn, you can't cook your own food because you're worth $1 billion. So now you have to hire the private chef, but you're making 0.
You have to accept your current situation without allowing it to make you doubt yourself. So for me, whenever I was super broke, I knew that my time was going to be valuable one day, and I would have a maid, and I would have a cook, and I would have all that stuff. But my time isn't worth shit at the time. It wasn't worth shit at that time. Like, I couldn't create enough value to be worth like anything outside of just cleaning bathrooms, cleaning parking lots. And then I had my little niche blogs and stuff. So you have to pay your dues, and you do have to become this better version. You have to start, but you need to make it as specific as possible. Like, I know I keep repeating that, but I really want the audience to understand.
It's important.
You keep it too vague. You're like, I want to be rich. I want to be this. I want to be that. But you need to be specific. Like, how are you going to do that? And for me, if you like want to become like a freelancer, okay, great. What's your skill? What's your offer? How many clients do you want to work with? And I would even recommend that you have a variation of it. Like you could have 2 clients at 5K. You could have X amount of clients at 2.5K. You could break it down. And the more realistic you make it, the more believable it'll become to your mind. And then as you start actually achieving it, then continue increasing and increasing and increasing. But stop all this vague shit, because if you keep staying vague, you're going to be a loser forever.
Yeah.
You're going to be a brokey forever.
True.
So get as specific as possible. Yeah. And then accept that it is your fault. It's your fault that you're broke right now. But you can also, since it is your fault, you can fix it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know, a year from now, 3 years, 5 years from now, you'll look back and you realize, yeah, it was my fault. And now I changed it.
Yeah.
All by force of will, like using my time. And like I said before, like the time is, 5 years from now, you're probably going to be alive, and you pick like in what status you're, what life situation you're going to be.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to still be here, like working your shit muncher job? That's gonna suck ass. Don't want to do that probably. Something that I wanted to ask. We talked about this before we went live. You had to fire some people. For me, the hardest part in business has always been firing people. I've never liked it. I found that extremely hard. How do you handle that? Are you good at that? Are you a psychopath?
So I need to make this announcement. I am a psychopath.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
No, it tears me up inside. Like, it really does. It tears me up inside, and I'll, like, if I'm not careful, I'll put it off and put it off and put it off. For me, what works best, and this is what I'm doing now, is I compartmentalize everything. So I will be the person that approves this person being hired, but as far as giving them direct access to me, it's very, very, it doesn't happen often. Like, I don't get on calls with them. I'm not texting them every day. So I've got a manager that basically, he's the point of contact. So he's talking to them every day. He's making sure everybody's getting things done, so that if they're not getting results, it's very easy for me to be, hey, take care of this. They're not delivering. And then he has to do the dirty work. But rewind back probably like a year and a half ago, whenever I had a very personal relationship with everybody that was working with me. I had this woman that was working for me, and I didn't need her anymore. I just didn't. I had a way better person. She was taking care of her kid, and I was like, oh man. So literally I kept her on for a couple of months, and I was just like, I was paying her just to do random shit, just because I was like, man, like, she's depending on me to be able to feed her kid. Like, I can't deal with that.
That's rough. Yeah.
And so how I overcame that is I basically was like, listen, I don't need you anymore. However, I've got a couple friends that might be able to use your service, and I'm also willing to help. Like, if you want me to tweet you out or whatever you need to do, and that way you can replace working with me. And now she's doing great. I haven't talked to her in a while, but I referred her to a friend of mine. It's great.
I was afraid that you were going to say, like, I hired a hitman, I had her killed or something.
Oh, yeah, we could talk about that off camera. But no, I would recommend, like, as long as you're not doing them dirty, like, if they're actually screwing you over, then I have zero empathy at all. Luckily, I haven't had that. But if they're genuine, like, you can be genuine back and, like, try to help them out and set them off on the right course, especially if they're dependent on you to put food on the table. But otherwise, something I really recommend, once you have the capability, once you have a big enough team, is hiring a manager of sorts, that he or she is the point of contact with everybody that works for you. So basically, you don't even know them. Like okay, this person's doing this and this, and you can see the job's getting done, but you don't actually talk to them on a day-to-day basis. That way, if things don't work out, you can very easily just say, hey, drone strike. Cool. Okay, done. And you don't even have to worry about it. Yeah.
Do you think that karma is real?
I believe that the energy that I put out into the universe, as far as, like, the thoughts that I'm thinking, the words, the actions, everything I'm doing, will come back to me. And so that's why I do go through the world for the most part. I try to be genuine in every interaction that I'm having, because I don't want to, like, I'm not going to screw somebody over, because if I were, and it's not some, like, selfish thing of, well, I know if I screw other people over, then it's going to come back and I'm going to get screwed over. I don't think like that, but I just go through the world trying to be as helpful as I can to other people without allowing them to pull one over on me. Cause I also have the tendency to be a little too giving.
Yes.
Like that messed me up quite a few times. Like I would be super giving to other people, and then I'd find out behind the scenes or just talking shit. So I'm very careful about who I allow into my world.
Yeah.
But if you do come into my world, I'm as helpful as I can be. Like I'll refer people to to your service. If you like want me to look over something, I'll do it. Like I just move
Yeah.
through the world and put that positive energy out there, and it's going to come back to you. And I also believe on a personal level, if you're being lazy and you're not hitting the gym, you're putting bad food into your body. Well, of course, you're going to get unhealthy and you're going to welcome disease into your body and all that other stuff. So in everyday life, you need to be putting the best energy out as like possible, from like not thinking negative thoughts, not complaining, hitting the gym, being genuine in your interactions with other people. And I mean, only good's going to come out of that.
Like, would it be a good summation to say that if you strive to make the world a better place, that your world is going to be better as a result?
Oh, 100%. Like, maybe it was Gandhi, like before you try to change the world, change yourself. Like, I think it was Gandhi that said that, but I saw that quote many years ago.
Peterson, like before he started crying everywhere. The guy's crying everywhere.
Masculinity.
Yeah, exactly. What he used to say. Before he tried to change the world, clean your room or something, and then he started crying probably. It's weird, man. Guy's crying everywhere.
Well, yeah, like you have to change the world. Like I used to be that kid that I wanted to be able to be a positive impact in the world and help other people. And I used to do a lot of charity work and food kitchens and Habitat for Humanity. I would do all that stuff. And I really quickly realized, like, yes, me helping these people is definitely a positive thing, but I could help more people if I become rich and successful, and then I can actually put money into this, because all this stuff costs money. So yeah, me spending a couple hours every Saturday doing stuff is helpful. Or I could just sit there and write a check for like $100,000 and not even worry about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to focus on changing yourself first, like not rewind back to like me retiring my mom. I realized this was back in 2016. Like I need to stop. Like I basically just ghosted everybody. Like I didn't see my family for years, even though I was like 3 hours away. I didn't see them for years because I realized like they remind me of who I am now. They don't see where I want to become or who I want to become. So I just need to really focus on myself, get myself in better shape, get myself skilled up. And then I started traveling the world for like 3.5 years. And then I finally went back and saw my family. And I literally left, like for the most part, broke, and I drove back in a Mercedes. I rented the Mercedes, but I drove back in Mercedes. So that was pretty cool. But you have to realize, like, if you truly want to take care of your family and if you truly want to live this quote unquote dream life, well, you need to change yourself first. That way you can deserve it. So you do that by putting out the energy. And I wanted to clarify this earlier. A lot of people DM me all the time. Oh, yeah, man, I'm going to school, or I've got a job, or I'm going to school and I've got a job. I just don't have time. I never had time. Like I literally, in no point in my history have I ever had time. I have to make time. So stop saying, yeah, I don't have time. You have to make time for all this stuff. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. Like I have a conversation all the time with one of my family members, and they're like, I'm just busy. And I literally named off my entire schedule for that day, just that day. They're like, oh my God, like how did you do all that? And I was like, because I make time. That's how.
Yes.
I don't sit there and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to my job for 8 hours. And then, okay, I've got all this other time, but I've got to eat. Then I've got to watch my show, and then I've got to do this. Well, okay, well, you deserve to be a loser for eternity if you're going to live like that.
That's the
I 100% know, because even when I had a job, I still was able to find 4 hours a day to just, even though I didn't know what I was doing, I could still work on my blogs and all the different things I was doing at the time. So I made time. And for everybody that's watching this, you have to make time too. Stop telling Arno in the DMs or telling me in the DMs, oh, I just don't have time. I've got school. I've got a job. Just make time. Even if it's an hour a day, that's better than nothing.
That's the nice thing, right? We all have the same amount of time. Like I live in the real time zone in the Netherlands, but I mean, even in Paraguay, must be like 24 hours approximately, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I knew. It's the same thing. At this point in your career, how much time do you spend on prospecting?
I mean, all that's basically delegated at this point. Like I don't have to really worry about all that. Back in the day, I used to spend, it was a part of my day-to-day schedule, but now I don't really have to do it. Most of my focus now is, getting on podcasts like we're doing now. I'm more of a, I guess you could say, an editor of sorts. Like I approve everything. Like I don't allow This is also another freelancing lesson. Don't ever allow people to have full contact to your clients. You are the point of contact. So I'm still the point of contact. I'm still the final, like I push the work over here, or I make the final decision here. So more of my work now, or most of my work now, is mainly just from the editing type of perspective. So I'll look over the emails, or I'll look over the videos, and then I'll approve it. And then building up a team around what we're doing with YouTube and helping out with HU. HU takes a lot of my time every day, but I genuinely enjoy talking to the people and doing the calls and everything. So, I mean, that's most of my life now, as far as like prospecting. I've leveraged social media still, and then I've got people that handle it for me in the DMs. Yeah.
Have you made that mistake where you had someone have total access to your client, or have someone have the privilege to push out work?
Yeah, and it backfired very quickly.
Yeah, it doesn't look good, right?
Because they thought that they were talking to me, and the person thinking they were talking to me, they were going back and forth, and the guy, like, he it wasn't a major mess up, but he basically sent the wrong emails that were supposed to go out. And one of the emails, basically, we started a campaign before we should have. So we didn't prepare, we didn't plant the seeds, we didn't talk about it and then launch it. We launched it without all the preparation. So they launched the complete wrong sequence, which came back to me. And I took the fall for it. I couldn't say, well, it wasn't actually me, even though you're talking to me, blah, 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 whatever. I just took the fall for it. Like, oh, my bad, bro. So after that, I never allowed people to have any kind of contact with my clients at all. Like, unless we're in a Slack group or something, but it's very obvious that it's them, and I still have the final say. Obviously. But even then, I'm the final point of contact. Yeah.
And in terms of like networking, because you told me about, you were like, you go from the cleaning to the flipping to building your skills and driving long distances, etc. So in terms of networking, how do you handle that? Like, how do you get in touch with these people?
So for me, maybe it's because I have like a lot of confidence in myself. I don't see people that are super above me as above me. Like I do know, like I'm realistic enough to realize like I don't have any opinion on anything they tell me to do. They obviously know something I don't, which is why I'm going to them.
True.
But I don't come at people from like a fanboy type of thing. I literally just talk to them like they're a friend of mine.
That's very important, man. Let me sort of interrupt you there, if I may. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see in DMs in general, are people just come like some simp saying, "Oh, I worship you and I want to kiss your feet or lick your feet," whatever is in these days. But that's not a thing, man.
No, not at all. It's a turnoff. It's a big turnoff.
Don't do that. Talk to me like I'm a normal dude, like
Yeah, talk to them like a friend and have something that you actually want to help them with. Don't just say, "Arno, I've got this really awesome idea." Instead, say, "Arno, I've got this idea. I think it's going to be great for you. Here's how you can make it happen."
Exactly.
Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, bullet point.
Like a normal dude.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
You wouldn't approach me on the street saying, "Hey, you're a god, please." That doesn't happen to me that often. Maybe for you in Paraguay, it happens a lot. I don't know.
More and more, just because I'm actively posting within Paraguay, but it's not like, "Oh my God, you're a god," but it's like coming up to me and it's like filming me while I'm not like, I don't see them. They're filming me and they post it, and one of my friends sends it to me. Like,
holy shit,
bro! Like I'll show you the video after this, but there's literally on Instagram, a friend of mine sent me a DM. He's like, "Bro, this is kind of creepy. Did you post this?" I was like. And it was me and my girl. We were sitting there. I just finished working out. I was at a cafe that I go to all the time, drinking espresso, and they were going up the escalator filming me. And I was like,
holy shit.
Like, it's creepy. Just talk to me. I'm a normal human being. Yes. I mean, once this podcast goes off, I go back into God form. But right now, I'm just a human being, okay?
Obviously, yeah. No, yeah. But that's awesome. Like, really? Holy shit. I'm someone kind of famous.
For anybody that's watching this and you want to network with all these big names, just be a friend, be of value. Like, don't expect them. Like, one, don't look at them as some like God, because they're not. We're all human. And also, this is a big thing. Stop coming at them with these big ideas, because they have tons of ideas themselves. The people around them have tons of ideas.
Yeah.
Tell them the idea, but then show them how it can be made happen. Otherwise, they're just going to, "Oh yeah, cool," and just discard it. Show them how it can happen. And something I used to do is I would act on the idea and then pass it off to them. Then boom, it's already proved right there. And you've shown that you're actually a man of your word and you're getting results. It's not just some great idea. You've actually executed on it. And then they're automatically going to respect you 1,000 times more than you just come in. Hey, Arno, I've got this really good idea. I think you should start an OnlyFans where you sell your feet pics. Like, give them an actual, like, this is how you execute on this idea.
Yeah.
Or I've already set up the website. Here's this idea. I've already set up your OnlyFans, Arno. I've already got thousands of subs here.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Like, my feet are really beautiful. That's true. You should see my calves, though. They're amazing.
Coming next. That's the December edition.
Yeah, the calendar edition. Exactly. No, but I do agree, though. I mean, that's one of the most annoying things that I get. Maybe you as well, where people say, "Hey, I got like a great idea. Want to hear it?" or something like that. Or here's my idea. Like, fuck's sake, I don't need ideas. I got ideas under the shower every day.
Yeah.
I got unlimited ideas. That's fine. But if you could combine that with action, actually do it, now you have my attention. Now we can do this. Right?
Yeah, because it doesn't. You and I are already so busy with what we're already doing, and they're just adding more work to our life. So if they can take away some of that work by acting on it, and then breaking it down, then I can see how this could happen. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Here's what I think about it. Go take an action on this, and then report back to me whenever you've gotten it started. Boom. Yeah. I will respond to that person. My least favorite DM is, "Hey, Dylan, can I ask you a question?" I always respond, "Oh, great question."
Yeah, I say something like, "Yeah, you just did."
Yeah.
It's retarded. I mean, dude, come on.
My favorite response to that, once I say that, it's really, "What?" Like,
that's the second question.
Yes.
That's not good. When you started out, right? You were in 2000. I mean, I wouldn't say this is the early stages of the internet, but maybe intermediate when blogs were really big. I'm not that tapped into anymore, but blogs aren't that big of thing right now as they were once before, were they? Or are they?
They aren't, but it's more of a hybrid version of blogging now. And it was funny because I was kind of already moving in that direction. I just put way more energy into my email list and social media. Yeah. So blogging is still a thing, but you need to look at it as, okay, I'm going to grab people's attention on social media, direct them to my blog where they can read the long form content. And then from there, they can join my email list or buy my product. So blogging is still definitely a popular thing. You could still rank for certain keywords, but it's not they can change the algorithm tomorrow and your blog goes from like the top 10 blog to like the millionth blog down. So like it can change like that. So you need to focus more of your attention on building an audience on social media, such as YouTube or on Twitter or Instagram. And then you can direct people to your blog for more long form content. Or you can take a video. So this interview, you can transcribe that into an article. And now you've got the video plus you have the article. And that's going to get way more SEO juice. And then from there, you can direct them to your email list. And so by the time they join your email list, they're more refined. They're more of an actual like fan. They're not just somebody who's like, oh, I can get a free ebook. Click. No, they've taken the time to consume the content. Yeah. And now they can get on your email list. So
why would you even go through the trouble of like building an email list? Because you got them on YouTube, right? You got them on Twitter.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, like if you don't have an email list, it can be taken away like that. So like if you have a Twitter account and that's your entire business is on Twitter. And then one day you say one of the wrong words, or like in my case, one of my first Twitter accounts, I moved from America abroad and I no longer had my SIM card from America and I couldn't verify or authenticate that I was the owner. Banned. So if that was my only source of income, I would have been screwed. Yeah. So you need to have an email list on the back in the back burner. That way, like you're emailing them. I would recommend 1 to 3 times a week. Like people make the mistake of just building an email list, but they don't do anything with it. So you need to be building an email list. And from there, 1, you actually own the list. And then 2, you can educate them on various things you're doing. So if I were Arno, I would write an email and be like, hey, check out this new interview that I did with Dylan Madden. Boom, send that out to them. Or if I came out with a new product, boom, check this out. Or maybe I just write some entertainment, educational email. So it
Yeah.
gives you a more personal line of communication with the people that actually vibe with your content. And I could talk for hours about email lists, but I mean, that's really why you 100% need an email list.
And these days, like if you write an email for yourself or your client, like how much time does it take you to write an email?
I mean, most of my stuff's already written for me now, and then they send it to me. So my own personal email list, I've tried to delegate. It's not the same. I have to write all my emails. I can write it in like 5 to 10 minutes. Like, so I'll take a tweet of mine and I'll just
Really?
basically expand on that tweet. That's my secret. So that's
Wow.
literally all you have to do is like find like a video or find a tweet that does well, and then obviously people are interested in that, and then just copy paste that tweet and then expand on it, add a call to action, and then done. It's
Yeah.
easy. So 5 to 10 minutes, I can write a banger email, and I've already verified the idea on Twitter. Like a ton of
Yeah.
people
They
retweeted
respond.
this, and then boom, expand on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, half my Twitter replies are saying that something is gay, so I'll rule those out. But but I have to like make a note for my personal assistant. So Severina, if you're seeing this, you need to start writing emails. So now you
Get on it
know.
right now.
Yeah, exactly. She's pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
and I think she can write emails, and I'll do the editing. But that's really interesting, man. And
Mhm.
then, I mean, I get like you do the writing, like you do the editing for the client stuff, like the final
Yep.
touch, right? And I assume that it's not just writing emails; it's also like the strategizing for the launch, etc. Because you have plenty of experience in that area as well, right?
Yeah. So whenever I first got started, I thought it was just all about the emails. And then as you start getting some experience, you realize, yes, the emails are important, but it's actually thinking up campaign ideas. And
Yeah,
then I was already pretty good on like as far as like tweeting. And that's why earlier I mentioned Twitter ghostwriting. So
yeah,
then I started offering that as like a side service to my clients, but it's in a way that builds upon what I'm already doing for them. So you sign them up as a client for your email copywriting service, and then boom, you verify like you're getting results for them, you're making
yeah,
money for them, and then you can say, hey, you're like if they're already on Twitter, it's easy. You can say, hey, you're already tweeting, but I want to start tweeting for you. I already have your voice. It's going to help me get more people into your email list. It's also going to help make you more money. So how about I'll start writing 3 tweets a day for you for $1,500 a month?
wow,
Boom. And now,
yeah,
now you just added an additional $1,500 to your income stream,
yeah,
writing 3 tweets a day. That's super easy to do. And then now, not only are you writing their emails, now you're writing their tweets. So now you're even harder to replace because they
yeah.
rely on you in that sense, but also you're adding more value to them. And then from there, you can offer, I can keep going. You can keep upselling them to other services. And that's how I've been able to increase my income just working with a handful of clients. Like while other people have to work with like 15 clients to make the same money I'm making, I can
Yeah.
have 3 clients or 4 clients or 5 clients and make even more than them.
As long as it makes sense for the client,
Yeah,
it makes sense, right? If you like,
exactly.
if you charge me 1,500 a month, but I'm making a multiple of that, what do I
Mhm.
care?
Exactly. That's the secret.
Another secret. Holy shit. All sorts of secrets, man. I like that. And then let's say you were in Dylan Madden. You were, I'm trying to think of the inverse of your name, Dylan, which is like Nalit, whatever. Yeah. You're from Pakistan. I don't know. But you can speak decent English and
Mhm.
your representable self. Like how would you like which sort of like prospect or client would you seek out first? Like where would you start?
So I'm assuming I don't have all the experience I have now. Like I'm just some random
Well,
person.
you're a good writer. Let's
Right.
say I transport your soul and your brain into a random Pakistani
Yeah.
or Indian before we
Mhm.
get war, right?
Yeah.
Or Chinese, whatever. And I put you in there, and then now you're living in a hut at the
Mhm.
side of the street with a laptop, a
Yeah.
MacBook, whatever. And now you have to sort of start over.
So first, I would make a Twitter account. I would start building some kind of affiliate brand, like because that it's going to start making. Well, it's not going to make money day one, but like with my same soul in that
Yeah,
body, like I could very easily get their attention. So yeah, I would start a Twitter account. I would build up an affiliate brand around like a certain theme or a certain person, and start making money that way. I might make even another account. So now I've got 2 Twitter accounts, and I would focus on just tweeting out a couple times a day, building rapport by quote tweeting, replying, and it's going to be beneficial to that person because I'm selling their product. So of course they're going to retweet me.
so you start an account,
Mhm.
You're Mr. Anonymous. So no one knows who you are. You have
Right.
0 followers. And what you're saying is you would pick like a popular dude that you can
Yeah.
affiliate for and write tweets for that.
Yeah, so I would just find a person that's already got a Twitter audience and
Yeah.
that has a product, and I would become an affiliate for them.
Good.
And I would start just rewriting content they already have, or 3 things I learned from Arno or something like
Oh yeah.
that. Turn that into a thread, and then boom, have their affiliate link. So now I'm starting to make a little bit of money here and there.
Yeah.
And then I would basically take that and make another Twitter account about another theme, another person. I'd recommend a theme. That way you're not limited to just like Arno or just Dylan or
Yeah,
just
sure.
this person. So I would build it around a theme. And then boom, now I've got 2 Twitter accounts that can make me money every day. And then I would start building that up. And then I would either go into Twitter ghostwriting or I would go into email copywriting. And you can leverage your social media account because they could see, okay, he's obviously a good writer.
Yeah.
He's gaining followers. He's got engagement. And then boom, I would start hitting people up in the DMs and offer my service. And this is assuming I had like no testimonials at that time. I would just start reaching out to them and say, hey, I've run this account, blah, 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 blah. Here, I would like to write 2 emails for you just to give you an idea of what I can do for you. Let me know if you're interested, and I'll go ahead and send them over. And then I don't write them. I let them say yes. And if they say yes, then I'll sit down, I'll write 2 emails for them, I'll send it over to them. And I would ask for like an affiliate link that way for only 1%. So I'm only going to get paid 1% of each sell, but that's only to show that I'm actually generating sales for them. And then from there, I would either upsell them to a performance-based deal where I'm getting like, I don't know, 15, 20%, or you could upsell them to $1,000 a month, like something much, much lower. And then you turn that, I would only take on like 2 clients like that. So now you've got the 2 Twitter accounts, you've got the 2 possible email copywriting clients, you're making money, and you can leverage that as like a case study, a testimonial. And then I would do the same process, but instead of just saying, hey, do you want these 2 emails? I would basically say, hey, here's how much money I've made one of my clients over the past X amount of days. Here's some ideas I have for you. Drop some bullet points. And if they're interested, and this is, once again, I could speak English, right? Like pretty well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then I would get them on the phone. And just talk to them really quickly.
Yeah.
Hello, Arno.
That's amazing,
I
man.
have good ideas for you.
Yeah. No, but that's great. I mean, that's awesome. You'll be the king of Pakistan soon.
I actually have quite a few. I'm not going to say tons, but I've got quite a few people in India that follow me that want to meet. So at some point, I want to go to India. That would just be so awesome.
I've been invited to a wedding in India in December.
That's
Maybe
right.
we can go together. Like it's from our fellow friend group. So we'll be in touch.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I'm not sure where it is because India is pretty big. Apparently, it's even bigger than the Netherlands. Who knew?
Yeah.
But what is really interesting about the approach is that it's very systematic. Like what I did when I did the experiment that we sort of talked about a couple months ago. So basically, what I did was I wrote like 2 example stories or 2 example things to show them, and I would just reach out to people in a certain niche, tell them, hey, I specialize in helping people in your niche reach more people, blah blah blah. Here's 2 examples of what I did. Let me know if you like it, and then we can get on a call or whatever. And that worked very well because you have actually something to show for it. And yes, I'm a decent writer, which helps massively.
Yeah.
Right. If you're shit, well, obviously people are not going to pay you because you're shit. But if you're a good writer, if you're a decent writer, right?
Yeah.
You can make good money.
Oh, you can. And start building on Twitter. That way you start developing the habit of writing. You start figuring out how to get engagement and all of that. And so you can take it as quickly or as slowly as you want. Like if I was a complete trash writer, I would just focus on building the Twitter account just a little bit longer until I got confident. And then in my off time, I would be on like 5-10 different email lists, and I would start rewriting their emails in my own way. That way I'm starting to gain experience writing emails, how they're formatting. And I'm not just going to mindlessly do things, but okay, why did they start the email like this? As I'm reading this, did it make me want to continue reading each line? Did this call to action make me want to click? Yes or no? And then I would be a little bit more cognizant of it. Instead of, I'm writing about this. Like I would actually think about it. And then, very, very quickly, you'll start figuring out, okay, this is how you put it together a subject line. Here's how you have an intro that makes me want to keep reading. Here's how I make people read each line.
Yeah,
Here's
every line feeds into the next, right?
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
it's a flow. And then because in terms of writing, like, yes, it helps if you have a certain talent. Yes, it helps if if you've been doing it for a while. But if you want to get better at writing, it makes sense to write more.
Yeah.
That's basically it. It's similar to anything you do. Like if you want to teach your baby how to walk, probably makes sense to make him walk more.
Yeah.
That really helps. You can't really talk about him or talk about it to him, or you can't read him like what he has to do. Just have get him on his legs, his little baby midget legs, and then make him fall to his face, and then put him up again, and then at a certain point he walks.
Yeah, I mean,
or he doesn't, and you cast him off the rocks.
Yeah, exactly. Back whenever I got started writing, like back in 2014, I sucked at writing. Like at the time I thought I was really good. And then I looked at it like a year later, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I thought that was good. I remember when I first started writing blogs, I was like, man, this is fire. This is like 2,000 words. It's so good. Yeah. I'm the best writer ever. And then as you gain experience, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. It's embarrassing. And so I'll go back and re-edit them. But I literally, whenever I started blogging, I started with my main blog, and then I broke into like niche blogs. And I literally was writing like an article or two a day for years. And then eventually I got into Twitter and email copywriting. But I sucked in the beginning at writing. But through experience, and as you were saying, writing more, magically I became this really good writer. I did have the baseline skill if I was interested in writing. I was decent at it.
Sure.
But you have to figure out all the different things. You have to think about, how can I get them to be interested in the subject line? How can I get them to continue reading? You learn how to layer articles or layer emails. And I mean, you have to acquire all these skills. And this is also another thing. I'm very big on picking one skill, but at the same time, you also need to acquire more skills than what you think. Like, while I'm an email copywriter, I can also edit a video. I can also make, not the best, but I can also make a graphic. So I can do graphic design. Yeah. So you need to acquire all these different skills, because they will come in handy at some point. Because in the beginning, I couldn't hire other people to do it. I had to do all this stuff myself.
Same here.
So it is helpful to learn all these different skills. But as from a monetization standpoint, you need to focus on getting results with this one skill that you can offer other people. And you're saving them time. That's number one. And then two, you're also making them money, which is the most important. So you're making the money, you're saving them time. And once you close those first two clients, you use both of them as a case study. And the reason I say two is I focused on one, and it took me a little bit longer than I probably should have. And then I ended up taking on the second one, and I just exponentially started getting better. So you take on two clients. Now you have two really solid case studies. Like, you actually know how to get results, and you have the testimonial from them. That's massive. And then boom, now you can use that. And now you can start charging more. The one thing that annoys me about Twitter is from day one, they say charge more. So you have all these people that are elite copywriters, and they're trying to charge elite copywriters. They're trying to charge more from the beginning. And I'm like, oh, what are you offering these people value-wise? You actually don't know what you're doing. Your DM that you sent me was trash. You had all these typos, but why should you earn more? No, accept a little bit less money in the beginning, get the results and all that, and then you can charge more if it makes sense. If you can make them more money, then you can charge more. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. Like, I honestly, I couldn't agree more. It is a skill set you build up, and then it's not like Wagey World where you have to wait 3 years to make a 6% promotion. It's not the same. Like, you can make a 600% easy.
Yeah,
that's doable, but you have to put in the work. And in that way, it's similar to Wagey World, but it's with outsized rewards. Like, it doesn't even come close. Like, and that's the weird, for me, that's the weird thing about people having the wagey jobs, where you pour your heart and soul into it, and then you get like a 4% return per year. That's so lame and gay.
It really is. Yeah.
Couldn't do that.
That's why, like, I would find one of my favorite jobs ever is I was a small engine manager at a hardware store. So there's the hardware side and the small engine shop. And I came in, it was a complete shit show. And I came in and I organized everything. I customers' orders fulfilled. I organized the mechanic shop. I was literally I was like 18, 19, maybe 20, bossing around guys in their like 50s and 60s that knew way more than I did mechanically, but I just could actually think. And I came in and I started increasing their sales. And then the owner had this charity, and I raised tons and tons of money using Facebook and Facebook ads for him. And like in my mind, I think I was making $10 an hour at that job. And at the time, I needed $12 an hour, which was hardly anything. But at the time, I was like, okay, that's enough to where my car payment's paid for, my car insurance is paid for.
Yeah.
I can eat a little bit. I can eat better food. I can eat out a couple times a week. Like, that's good. Yeah. And I sat down with him and like talked with him. His name was Chuck. I was like, listen, Chuck, like I want $12 an hour. Here's how much money I've increased sales wise from selling lawnmowers and parts. Our orders are getting fulfilled. I've also helped with your charity without charging anything. So I just want $12 an hour. It's only $2 more per hour. That's really going to help me. And it's also obviously it just makes sense for me to stay here. And I'd already decided, because back then I hated confrontation, but I was tired of being shit on. So I was like, if I can't get paid $12 an hour, like I can't work here anymore. I have to put my 2 weeks notice in. And I was super nervous saying that, but I did it. I said it anyways, because I had to. And he's like, okay, Dylan, I don't think I could do this, but let me think about it. And he talked with me the next morning, basically couldn't do it. And he sold me on this idea of, if you can stay here for the next couple of years, I'm going to open up another store. And by that point, I'll have you trained up and I'll put you as a co-owner, blah, 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 making it sound good.
Yeah.
And so I had to put my 2 weeks notice in. And after that point, I gave up on finding a job that I actually liked. Yeah. Because I genuinely liked going into work every day. I loved going in, opening up the store, telling everybody good morning. Here's what we're going to be doing today, blah, 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 blah. I genuinely loved it. Because I felt kind of like a boss, for lack of better words.
Pour your heart and soul into it. It's you're almost a semi-owner, right? The ownership mentality.
Oh, yeah. Now I always have had that mentality ever since I can remember, because I always wanted to be kind of like my own boss. So even when I was working at a grocery store, I walked around that place like it was my grocery store. Yes. But it never got reciprocated back. And then after that, I think I worked at a car dealership. And that was my last actual job. And I quit that in like 2016. But I tried getting into their internet department, the internet sales. And I had all these great ideas, because this was when I was really getting into the blogging world. And the day that I put my 2 weeks notice in, he's like, oh, Dylan, his name was Wendell. It's like, Dylan, just so you know, it's funny you're putting your 2 weeks notice in. I was just about to say, I want you to become in charge of the internet sales department. So how about let's put this on hold, the 2 weeks notice on hold, and I'll get you trained up. We'll talk tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And I was like, listen, I was like, I wanted to put my 2 weeks notice. I wanted to quit, but I'm putting my 2 weeks notice in because I do like a lot of the guys here. I lied whenever I said this. I was like, and I really like you as well. He was an asshole, total asshole. Just a prick. But anyways, I was like, and I really like you. So I wanted to keep the door possibly open if I decide to come back. And he literally just changed. He's like, you're gonna fail, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what you're walking away from. You're never gonna make it. What's your plan? Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna drive for Uber. And he just laughed. He's like, Dylan, you can get the fuck out of my office. Like you don't even have to finish your 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, fine.
Fine, Wendell.
I'm happy.
Fuck you, Wendell.
Yeah, I know. And that further, like, it was just more and more just pushing me to the edge of no return. And then I sat down with my dad, I don't know, a month or so after that. And he was like, son, like, I trust you to do what's best for you, but you're going to be that like 30-year-old guy working an entry-level job. And I'm terrified of that. I was like, Dad, give me I think I told him 2 years. So I was still in my early 20s by this point. I was almost early to mid 20s. I was like, give me 2 years. And if I do not find out what I need to find out to be successful, anything you tell me to do, whether it's a corporate job or going back to college, I will literally do it. And I'll give up on this pipe dream. But just give me 2 more years. And coincidentally, that was when everything started really clicking. And I think it took me probably 3 years from that moment, but I'd already started making some actual income. Like I had one of my first $1,000 sales days I was doing affiliate marketing. And so I had the success, but it wasn't enough for me to truly just separate and I guess have the balls to just move abroad yet.
No, but you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I finally have a little bit
Beautiful.
of water coming through. Yeah.
I mean, my favorite, I said this before in HU, but my favorite Dutch song, maybe my favorite Dutch song lyric,
Mhm.
it's a song called "It's Raining Sunbeams," and it's about a dude who, like, it's a middle-aged dude. Let's say he's 40, 50, I don't know, and he sold his car.
Mhm.
And right before he sold his car, he was sitting at a park bench, and the most beautiful line in the song, in my opinion, is him reflecting on his life and realizing of all his childhood dreams,
Yeah.
only getting old was fulfilled. So he wanted to get old. That was on the list of his childhood dreams, and that was the one he could cross off.
Yeah.
None other. Like that. That was the only one. And I think that, I mean, that's such a beautiful song.
Mhm.
Because in the song, the car crashes, but he isn't in it. He sold it the day before, so now he gets a new lease on life. He gets a new
Yeah.
chance, like he's a new man.
Yeah.
But imagine the sadness and the wasted potential of someone sitting on a park bench realizing, holy shit, all of my life I threw it all away. I'm in this wagey shit job. I'm a middle manager at some shit store,
Mhm.
making some money, but and I have a three wife, like on a three on a scale from 1 to 10, and she bitches at me all the time, and I'm fat, and I'm miserable. Is
Mhm.
this life? Is this it?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be good.
To me, that's hell. And I'm very grateful that after that small engine shop, I went and worked at the car dealership because I was around a bunch of guys that were like late 20s to mid 30s. And it was more relatable to me than guys in their like 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
And this is the story they look forward to playing. They literally played softball. Men played softball every weekend. And it was the company team. And they looked forward to bar hopping, and they were so miserable and stressed out of their mind every single day. And I was like, this is literally like living in hell. Like I cannot fathom living like I'm a grown man playing softball and bar hopping with my bros. That's all
I can't
that's
do
my
this.
I've reached success. I was like, I cannot live like that.
Yeah.
And just more and more, it was just showing up every day. And for the people that are watching this, and you're like, man, doing all this stuff is nothing's really moving. If you can just wake up every day and put a little bit of effort today, a little bit of effort today, a little bit of effort today, just every single day, that's all that matters. Not yesterday or what happens tomorrow, just
Yeah.
every single day, put in a little bit of effort every day. In time, that'll turn into momentum. Like whenever I was working at the car dealership, and I was like, I was a porter. So basically, the car would pull in for service. I'll lay a mat down, take their car out back,
Yeah.
park it, and then come walk through. As I was walking through the car shop where cars were being worked on, my mind swimming with ideas of like all these possibilities.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just doing stuff, and eventually it paid off. Now I've got a level of awareness and experience where I can make stuff happen way faster because I've actually put in the time. So if you're sitting there and you're like, I don't know what to do, well, just keep showing up. Every single day since like 2014 have been doing something every single day. And now you can see what my lifestyle is and how like everything I'm doing. It's because every day I've done something. Even if
Yeah.
I'm really sick, even if I'm really broke, anything, I always put one foot in front of the next. And that's people don't like that. They want a magic pill. Like, okay, if you follow
Yeah.
these 3 steps, this is what's going to happen. No, just fucking do something every day,
Yeah.
every single day. And then eventually you'll kind of see a little bit of light. And then once you see the light, double down on that and then go for it. And you'll break through the wall into this next reality that you want. You'll escape the cave.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. The
Yeah.
cave allegory or Plato. That's
Yeah. I've
beautiful.
always loved that. Yeah.
I talked to a fellow acquaintance of ours yesterday in an interview, and he's worth about 8 figures, so he's doing pretty well.
Mhm.
He's doing all right. And he he said it in a very beautiful way. He said, once you start on a path and then you put one foot in front of the other, it's like lighting a fuse, but you're not aware of the fuse, like, progressing until it reaches the bomb. And
Yeah.
then, at that time, yes, you're aware. But by that time, you've been putting your foot in front of the other so so many times, so many days,
Yeah.
that you haven't like you've been immune to it for a while, right?
No,
It's
I
not really
love
a
that.
thing.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
mean, I don't want to take up much more of your time. I think we covered a lot of like good stuff on this podcast. If people want to follow you or reach you, like where can they do that?
I mean, the best place is on Twitter at MoneyBagLives, and
Yeah.
then also YouTube is just Dylan Madden. But the best place is Twitter at MoneyBagLives because I post there every day.
All right. Anything I missed in the questions that you want to cover?
No, not really. I mean, just stay focused for everybody that's watching and put one foot in front of the next. I mean, there's no magic that's going to happen. The magic is by you putting in each step and you learn new things. That's what you need to do.
That is
You
the
just
magic,
keep doing
right?
it. Stop overthinking things and then get inside of HU if you're not inside of HU yet.
Yeah.
Like you literally have
I agree.
access to Arno and myself every day and a bunch of other people that actually know what we're talking about. And so just stop holding yourself back. Stop thinking like, oh, maybe they just have something I don't. I used to think like that. We're just like you. We just actually put in the effort every single day, and we've gained the experience, which is why we have the life we have. That's the only special thing about us.
Dylan has reached God status, though. I haven't reached that at all.
Trying to wear a jacket so I can kind of hold, like if I lift this, you can kind of see the sparkles. Okay, yeah.
No people in the Netherlands are filming me. Everyone's spitting on me when I'm walking by. You're being adored like a god. No, man, I do appreciate you coming on. I'll make sure to add the links. Let's do this again sometimes. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, Dylan.
Anytime.